This is Glow in the Dark Radio. The science fiction podcast with original independent science fiction written and performed by Mike Luoma, with music by Kevin MacLeod. The Vatican Assassin Trilogy and The Adventures of Alibi Jones by Mike Luoma are available in ebook, trade paperback, and audiobook wherever you find your books online. Get links and details at glowinthedarkradio.com. This is the science fiction podcast, Glow in the Dark Radio. I'm your host, your writer and narrator, Mike Luoma, and I've got Chapter 27, Vatican Assassin, special 15th Anniversary Edition, coming up on this episode. We've got a continuing special voice cameo from John Miro. You can find his work at servingworlds.com. John's voicing Richard Wentworth. We're not done with him yet. BC has gone to Richard Wentworth's space station with his old flame who's reappeared, Fiza. And Richard Wentworth agreed to let him come on board, fed him dinner, and as they were eating dinner, Fiza seemed drugged and passed out, and then BC passed out too. What's going on? We're going to have to find out in the upcoming Chapter 27 of Vatican Assassin, special 15th Anniversary Edition, which is on the way on Glow in the Dark Radio. And not only do we have John Miro, but we also have Paul E. Cooley on this episode. He's coming in on a special voice cameo as well. Although I'm not going to tell you who he is yet, because it's part of the reveal in the chapter. And of course, you can find Cooley stuff at shadowpublications.com. Mr. Paul E. Cooley, author of The Black and the Derelict saga, and a special voice cameo in this chapter coming up. Before we get into the chapter, I wanted to remind you that I have a special going on for podcast listeners at smashwords.com. You can get, for a limited time and for a limited number, you can get the Vatican Assassin Trilogy ebook for half price. 50% off. So it's just $250 for the ebook for Vatican Assassin. That's the new 3rd edition. It has this special 15th Anniversary Edition of Vatican Assassin in it. I had to update the trilogy once when I revised Vatican Ambassador. So that's why this is the 3rd edition now, quite a few years later. And again, just go to smashwords.com and search for Vatican Assassin or me, Mike Luoma, and you'll be able to get the Vatican Assassin Trilogy 3rd edition for 50% off, $250. You just need this code, EA48K, and you'll find that in the show notes too. That's EA48K. We'll get into Chapter 27 of Vatican Assassin next on Glow in the Dark Radio.
The Flesh Pulp Podcast. 3 to 10 minutes of fiction brought to you thrice weekly. 200 miles below the surface of the earth, at the terminus of a series of long-sealed caverns and interconnected shrines, under the shadow of the eternally bleeding eye, there is a crippled wreck of a man writing tales, stories of a dimension engulfed in madness. He is writing them of you. Find them all at fleshpulp.com or search for it on iTunes.
Now here's Chapter 27 of Vatican Assassin on Glow in the Dark Radio. BC wakes up in the passenger co-pilot seat of a small two-seater transport ship cruising through space. He's strapped in. The pilot is about a foot away, humming to himself as he runs through a maintenance check on the main screen in front of him. Where are we? Who the hell are you? Where are we going? What the fuck is going on here? BC explodes as he wakes up.
So many questions and such a mouth, Padre.
The pilot is on the heavy side. Crew-cut hair, looks old military. He smiles at BC.
They said you want your normal priest. Horny. Heard you make quite a video.
BC just stares at him. I'd kill him, but I don't know if I can fly this thing. He keeps smiling at BC.
I work for Mr. Wentworth. He asked me to give you a ride home. That's who I am and where we're going. Couple of your questions anyways.
Why did he drug me and Fiza? Where is she?
From what they tell me, no one drugged you. You complained of a headache and dropped. Passed out right there at Mr. Wentworth's table. Not too polite, Padre.
He chuckles.
Miss Fiza, she was sedated so she could get some rest before starting her new job for Mr. Wentworth. That's what I'm told anyways.
I want to talk to Wentworth, BC demands.
Sure, I'll call him. He said you'd probably want to talk to him when you woke up. Said he'd take your call. You're lucky, Padre. He doesn't do that for most people. Doesn't always do it for me anyways. Hold on, I'll call him.
The pilot gets Wentworth on the comm. Wentworth appears on the video screen in front of BC.
Father, good to see you again. Glad you've recovered from your migraine. When you had your spell, I thought you'd want to return home as soon as possible. Drex was kind enough to do the honors.
Wentworth smiles at BC over the comm. The pilot speaks up.
My pleasure, Mr. Wentworth.
BC interjects. Was it a spell or did you drug me?
You passed out, Father. I had nothing to do with it.
Like Fiza did? You're going to try to tell me she just passed out too?
No, I had drugged. Guaranteed her cooperation. You, I have no interest in whatsoever.
Why did you drug Fiza? What has she done to you? BC protests.
Quite a lot, actually. Most of which I certainly wouldn't discuss with a priest. Unless I was on my deathbed, perhaps. If you even are a priest, still a question in my mind. Especially after seeing that tape. Never trust a purser, Father. Hey, Drex, when you were purser on the Wentworth commercial liner, you ever secretly record people in their rooms having sex?
The pilot laughs.
All the time, Mr. Wentworth, all the time. People make the funniest faces. Everybody records passengers. It's common practice. At least around the cruise I've been on anyways.
Did you ever record me then, Drex?
Oh, no, sir. I know that would have gotten me killed, I bet. Or fired anyways.
He says, laughing. Wentworth laughs.
Something to keep in mind in the future, eh, Father? So, are you really a priest?
I'm really a priest. I work for the Vatican. You can ask the Pope himself.
You think I can't? I can call your bluff right now, Father. I've known Peter for years.
So have I. I work for him personally. BC gives the last word more weight.
You're one of his men? You? You mean OPO?
Don't know what you're talking about, sir, BC says with emphasis. Not in an open comm channel.
I see.
What about Fiza?
Why? Is she of interest to to your people?
Wentworth corrects himself. She's not, no, it's more, personal.
I'm sorry then, Father. She'll be staying here, working for me. It would be best if you forgot all about her. She isn't a good person, Father. She screws over a lot of people, sometimes the wrong people, and she owes a lot of the wrong people a lot of money. She owes me a lot of money. I'm giving her the chance to work it off, all the while keeping anyone else from coming after her. She'll work for me to stay alive.
What kind of work? BC asks. Wentworth lets out a low chuckle.
There really is only one thing Fiza's any good at, as you well know, Father. We'll put those skills to work full time.
She won't.
She will. Because she does it, or she dies. It's very simple, Father. She'll be pumped full of drugs to keep her happy. Best she can hope for.
What a fucking slimeball. You're an evil man, Wentworth.
Evil? I've been called worse. And evil is such an outdated term, an outmoded notion, a quaint superstition from the past. Is self-interest evil? Is pleasure evil? We all serve ourselves first, even you, Father. Evil is entirely relative. It all depends on your perspective. The OPO perspective no doubt allows you to do things with a clear conscience that others would label evil. In fact, you have no basis for calling me evil, given what I know you do.
Look, no talk of the O word, okay?
Listen, you fool, this is a secure channel. I'm not stupid. I know a lot of you in the OPO are killers. I know. I've given the orders. I know Peter, but I don't know you. Let me tell you, Campion, this is not getting off on the right foot for you, see? Because I'm now going to find out who you are. That will make things worse for you if you continue to annoy me.
A cruel edge has entered Wentworth's voice. Now, look here, BC tries to protest. Wentworth continues, cutting BC off sharply.
You are going back to the moon. I'll find out who you are soon enough. After I do, you'll be no trouble to me. No trouble to me at all. Understand? Anyone I know, I can keep tabs on. And I will. Don't worry about Fiza, Father, and don't cross me over her. She isn't worth it. She's a user. She uses people. She used me. She used you. Now I'll use her. And let several others in my employ use her as well. Why don't you just forget about her, Father? It'll be for the best. That's the last time I ask. This conversation is over. Goodbye, Father. Drex, switch to secure mode.
Yes, sir.
The pilot puts a headset on and switches off the main audio. BC's screen goes dark. BC listens as the pilot receives instructions. All he hears on this end are a lot of,
yeah,
and,
yep,
wonder if they're telling him to kill me. Pleasant thought.
Right. Transport out.
The pilot takes off the headset and turns main audio back on.
We have a slight problem, Padre,
he says to BC. Here it comes.
The UIN is on the move, some kind of major ship movement. They have a handful of ships on this flight path, so I'm going to detour out and around them. It's going to take us a lot longer to get there, but we'll get there alive anyways.
What about your orders to kill me and dump the body? BC jokes.
What? Oh, you're joking, but that's not funny. You'd be dead already and I wouldn't be talking to you. Not like this, like we are now. If I have to kill you, I don't want to know you.
Drex says, shaking his head. I know what you mean, BC says. And I do. You are so right.
Yeah, right. Sure you do. Thanks for your sympathy, Padre. Anyways.
You'd be surprised, big guy. The pilot keeps talking.
You don't trust Mr. Wentworth, and that's okay. I don't always trust him myself, but he pays me very well, so I do as he says, anyways. He says take you back to the moon, so that's where we're going. Go back to sleep if you want. This is going to take a while.
The pilot turns to his control panel and gets to work adjusting their course. BC stares out the window at the impossibly dense field of stars. So many faraway suns. Space isn't really black. It's all stars. BC falls asleep, only to be jarred awake as if he's fallen.
Good morning, Padre. We're under attack. UAN scout ships. I'm trying to fly us out of this.
The pilot says.
You awake?
What? BC tries to wake up fast.
UIN scout ships, short range, firing at us. Probably means there's a cruiser nearby, at least one. I'm trying to go where they can't.
Is this ship armed? BC asks.
Not really. It's supposed to be way too fast to need armament. There are defensive shields, countermeasures, that sort of thing, but no missiles, no lasers. Oops, here they come again. Hold on.
The pilot hits something, and the ship jumps up and out of the line of fire. BC is pressed down hard into his seat by the G-force as they continue to leave the scout ships in the dust. The pilot hits the same control. Fast as it started, the transport decelerates, and BC can catch his breath again. Whoa, BC manages.
Yeah, wild ride, huh? Got us out of there, though. No sign of UIN cruisers either. Guess I picked the right direction.
Good guess.
Not good enough. Shit, here they come again. Hold on.
The ship is pushed sideways hard. Feels like some giant just backhanded the ship across the galaxy.
They hit us,
Drex says. He calls up specs and assesses damage on the screen in front of him. He also calls up navigational charts, switching back and forth as he figures out a course of action. BC scans the stars outside. He can just barely make out the glint of metal among the stars where he knows the UIN ships are. Other flashes are laser fire, maybe missiles launching. Drex runs the calculations he needs for another speed burst.
Hold on, here we go,
the pilot says, and he punches the control switch. The small transport leaps away from the fighting, safe for the moment until the slower ships can catch up.
We can't keep this up, Father. We can't take more hits or missile fire either. We need to find someplace to hide. I've been looking at the charts, and there's an old abandoned station nearby where we might get some cover. I'm already heading for it.
Could it? What's the station's name?
I don't know. It's on the charts. Freedom or something.
Fortune? No way.
No, I don't think it... No, wait a sec. Here it is. Yeah, Fortune. You know it?
Yeah, pretty well. I spent some time there earlier this year. I know those people.
People? What people? I thought it was abandoned.
It was, but a religious cult moved in and took it over a few years back.
Oh, then this is gonna be fun. Hey, that's strange.
The pilot is drawn to his control screen. What?
I'm picking up UTZ ships, lots of them, all around Fortune Station.
UTZ ships?
Looks like they've seen us and the UAN scouts. I'm sending friend all the way. Hope they... Yep, they've seen us and acknowledged friend. We're okay. They're sending a couple of attack ships out to chase off the UAN scouts.
2 streaks flash by them. The pilot relaxes, smiles over at BC.
Looks like we're going to be okay, Padre. We did get hit, though. The ship needs some repairs, so let's dock and do what we have to get going again quick. I promise to get you to the moon. I keep my promises,
he says, smiling at BC.
Or at least I try to, anyways.
Sure, BC says, distracted. All he can do is stare. UTZ ships surround Fortune Station. 10 UTZ battlecruisers, several trans-space transports, and the station is completely lit up. Not a good sign. Funny, I told them I'd come back, and here I am. Couldn't stay away. But what the fuck is the UTZ doing here in force? That was Chapter 27 of Vatican Assassin, the special 15th Anniversary Edition on Glow in the Dark Radio. The UTZ is surrounding Fortune Station? What's going on? You're going to have to join me on the next episode and find out. BC and Drex heading on board. My thanks to Paul E. Cooley for voicing our pilot on this episode. A special voice cameo from Cooley as Drex, our pilot. And my thanks to John Miro for Richard Wentworth. He is voicing Richard Wentworth as a special voice cameo in this 15th Anniversary Edition of Vatican Assassin. You'll find John's work at servingworlds.com, and you can get to Polly Cooley's stuff at shadowpublications.com. And if you want a 50% off ebook. You can get the Vatican Assassin Trilogy, special 3rd edition, the new 3rd edition that has this special 15th anniversary edition of Vatican Assassin in it. You can get the trilogy as an ebook at smashwords.com for just $2.50. $2.50. It's 50% off. Just use the code EA48K, which you'll find in the show notes, too. And that is all for this week. We'll head back on board Fortune Station with BC and Drex on our next episode. I'm your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma. Thank you again for listening to Glow in the Dark Radio. Glow in the Dark Radio. This podcast presentation is copyright 2023 by Michael F. Luoma and is protected under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License, CC by NCND 4.0. Music by Kevin MacLeod. You can find his work at Incompetech.com. Mike's books are available in ebook, paperback, and audiobook, wherever you find books online. Get links and more details at glowinthedarkradio.com and mikeluoma.com. This has been a presentation of Glow in the Dark Radio.